Okay, once more, good evening, and we are recording. And welcome to our Halloween night P4 practice session online. And again, recording for Kinesia this time, as well as Sulan, who we haven't seen a response from. So hopefully she'll be able to catch up. All right, ladies. So welcome. Anita and Natalie. Let's begin. So once more, just show by indication in the chat box, do you have your financial calculators ready? Yes, very good. Natalie, Anita, have you got yours? So a very useful tool for tonight because as I mentioned, we are going through the NPV areas, but this chapter, which was tested here, let's see if I could refer that chapter again. That was chapter 5 in our NPV area, had several little computations which were not exactly NPV, or should I say the traditional NPV computations. Sulan is calling here, very interesting. Let's see. Hello, Sulan. Yes. Oh my. Oh, okay. All right, cool. Oh. Thank you. Well, yes, but again, that will bode well for you also. You would save that money. So again, both of them are hearing me talking to you. So we have started the session. All right, so that's, thank you for calling and good luck. And if there's anything I can do further, always let me know. You have all my contacts. Okay, no problem. Take care, bye. All right, ladies. Well, you may have heard part of that conversation there. So that was Sulan letting us know that she is not taking on P4 in December. She's tackling them one at a time, and she has to redo the P2. So she's put in her efforts that way. All right. So I have 3 people. So 3 people could get us 100%. This is what we're looking for. All right. So yeah, I was saying that we're dealing with this chapter 6, and as the question outlines several areas for us, we can clearly see that if we were thinking about NPV, that the NPV values were actually given to us. So let me get my pens highlighted going. I chose the wrong highlighter there just now. So NPVs were given to us for both projects P and D. I'm not going to try and pronounce those names tonight. So projects P and D. And further for project P, we were told other bits of information. We were told here all the other measures or all the other metrics that were used to try and appraise projects, the IRR, the MIRR, and 2 VARs. That's this thing here, value at risk, otherwise known as the VAR, at 2 different rates. All of it for project B. So we have all of these measures for project B. However, all of these items not provided here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that sort of leads us on to the requirement. Required, discuss the aims of the free trade area. So that's not that. And B, calculate the figures which have not been provided for project D and recommend which should be accepted. Provide, of course, a justification for the recommendation and explain also. Look at this justification for recommendation. And so always separate where you have that and your question into 2 parts. 1, justification. 2, we'll have to pause and explain what is what the value at risk measures. All right, so what that deals with. So 13 marks by 1.5 minutes. That should give us how long we have to spend on this. 13 by 1.5, 20 minutes. So let's see what we can make of this in 20 minutes. If we have started, let's say, all right, I'll give us 850. So if we started this at 850 plus 20, that'll be 910. Let's see if that can happen. So calculate all the figures which have not been given. So again, we've just identified that those are 4 items. So let's start. So with all of that data, the first thing is our IRR. So what can we do? Once more, we have all our numbers there, and we can easily use our financial calculators for this. So let's begin. So we would say part B, computations of, what did the question call it? The question called it calculate the figures. The question just said figures. That's so sad. We would say calculate, right, that phone. Right, computations of measures. For project D. So first one is the IRR, and I would state for the examiner that we are using the financial calculator or the BA2 plus. Right, and we could list out easily all of the values that we are going to use. So we have the CF0, that's our minus 1184. Remember, it was here. You have to press your negative after you press the numbers. Then, oh, don't forget to start off by clearing your computations. And importantly, I'll just put this as a little note. This is for us to clear cash flows. First, press the CF button. So I think this is a little bit different from the first time I mentioned these instructions to you all. So you want to press the CF button first, then second function to ND, and then the CE clear button. All right. So in that sequence. So once you clear off, then let's see. Cash flow, second function clear. Right. Then on your CFO, you can press your 11840 minus 11840 minus enter, down arrow twice, and you would get to F01. All of the frequencies, sorry, not F01, F01 is a frequency. All of the frequencies in this tally will be 1, so you simply press the down arrow twice. So we're looking at CO1. CO01, or the first cash flow, and again we have that given to us simply in thousands, however. So we'll have to remember that when we get later down. Press down arrow twice, and then we are at C02, our second cash flow. After you've entered your 1230, press enter, down arrow twice, CO2, 1680, 1680, enter, down arrow twice, and you're at C03. Punch in your 4350. 4350. Enter, down arrow twice. You're at C04. And that's our 10 to 40. Enter, down arrow twice, and you're at C05. And that's our 2200. Enter. Now, for your IRR, all you have to do is press your IRR button at this stage. I should say press IRR. Right? And then you press compute or your CPT button. So press IRR, press CPT, and we will now have our IRR being equal to, after a little flash, 15.9. We'll round it to 1 decimal, and automatically that is a percentage. Alrighty, so let's see. I have a comment to check. Excellent, 15.879. Very well done, Natalie. Anita, are you getting that? Great. So that was almost 10 minutes. Goodness me. But you all should be able to write that faster than I was typing, because I was punching it in 2 places at the same time. I had to punch it on screen as well as onto my calculator. Okay. So I hope that it goes faster than if you turn to the kit solution now. You would see all of the old method of doing this, finding the first trial and error rate, finding the NPV at that rate, finding the second trial and error rate, and then plugging those 2 values into a formula. Now, if you were doing that, then the first line in the question would have been helpful. It says that the, let me see if I can scroll around to it here. You were already given both projects NPV have been calculated at the nominal cost of 10%. So you already had the NPV of Project Turkey showing up as a 2293 in thousands. And you simply needed the second one, which you could have plugged in any other second rate to guess. So this sort of helped you out in the question. However, our calculator avoids us using that long formula, etc. Any queries at this stage? Okay, so the kit using that approximate value gets 16.4. Our 15.9 is very close to 16, and that's close enough for everybody, including your examiner. So with that, we'll move forward. So moving forward to get the MIRR, where we need some of these present values of these figures, let's go and get our formula for MIRR. So MIRR is on page 175. Let's see if I could take some notes there for you for MIRR. That was the IRR calculation, the MIRR computation. We would recall the formula that MIRR from our formula sheet actually is equal to the PV of inflows over the PV of outflows, which is essentially the initial cash outflow, and then this is put to the power of power sign to the power of 1 over 5. Excuse me. And then it is multiplied by 1 plus our RE as such, or return on equity that's required. And then after all of that is done, so I could put a square bracket there. Open the square bracket here. After all of that is done, to get the final percentage, okay, that's not the square bracket. This is a square bracket to open. After all of that is done, then you minus 1 and multiply by 100 to get your value as a percentage. Right, so first task. Did anybody clear their calculators? Don't clear it if you didn't. Did anybody clear it? Great. So keep in those values in there. This is how we're going to get the number we need, which is the sum of the cash outflows, right? So that's the numerator for our MIRR. So we'll label that here, the present value of inflows. And again, that has to be the present value of the inflows at 10%, because that is the rate RE that we are going to be using. How do we know that that 10% is our RE? You can say RE equals over 10%. Cost of capital, yes, that was given to us. All right, so let's see. Right, and not just cost of capital, but a nominal cost of capital right here told us. So we know that's what we need. So that's our RE, and again, the present value at that rate. Now, if we didn't have our financial calculators, what would we be suffering to find that? To find that 293. Okay, well, actually, we could probably use that shortcut here. That might be shorter than using the financial calculator, but I'll show you it anyway. So that since 2293, and if we work in thousands, since the NPV, again, at 10%, was given to us as 2293. And we would recall that NPV is also equal to the present value of the outflows, which is our T0 cash flow, which is negative, plus the present value of the inflows, which is what we're looking for right now. All we could do is rearrange and take that over so that the NPV plus the present value of outflows is equal to the PV of all of the inflows. So we know the NPV and we know the present value of outflows. Present value of outflows is the initial cash outflow, which is the same 11840. So we could use that shortcut and take our 2293, add it on to 11840, and this is the numerator that we're looking for, present value of inflows. Any queries at this stage? Make sure. What's that number? So don't clear off your cash flow workings yet. We'll use that still to verify this answer that we're going to get. 2293 plus 11840 equals 4133. Okay, great. 4133. Oops, sorry. 14133. All right, so let's digress a little bit and use the financial calculator to get something very close to that. So press clear without pressing the second function. Just press clear alone down on the bottom. And then press the cash flow button. And your 11840 should be on the screen. Right? Just let me know if everybody has the 11840 minus on the screen with CF0. Showing CF0 equal minus 11840. Anita, has that? Natalie, are you there? Great. So at this stage, what I want you to do is press 0 and then press enter. So your CF0 now becomes 0. So 0 and enter. And the next thing we're going to do is press NPV, and the I pops up when you press NPV. And when the I pops up, enter 10, enter. And then, is everybody okay at this stage? We have the I equal 10, press enter. And there's a little triangle that will pop up above the 10. Is everybody at this stage? Natalie's there. Anita, you there? Okay, great. So once we're at this stage, then press the down arrow and NPV will show up, NPV equals 0. And then hit the compute button, CPT. And somebody tell me what number they get. So what we did is take all of the cash flows that we have entered. 14134.9, excellent. Excellent, very good. So that is what you could have done as an alternative to the little red working that I have had above. So actually, really wasn't that long, was it? Probably even shorter than doing the shortcut above. So, and it's 14135 if we round off, and really 135 is good enough, close to 14133. Right, so now that we have that, I think I would choose to use my 14135 and go down to my computation, and let's see what we can do to compute, finish computing the MIRR. So with that, pre-PVs of inflows at 10%, we can just say that we know that that is equal to 14135, again using financial calculator at 10%, and we would have found that. So hopefully Kinesia will be able to follow what I did there on the audio, because I didn't really type up any of that. We can always discuss that at any point she has any queries. So moving on, what's next? Now to plug in the values to the MIRR. So we'll just take a note that the PV, however, of the outflows equals our initial cash outflow at T0. And because this is happening at T0, do we need to discount this value of 11,840? Yes or no? All right, very good, Natalie. We do not need to discount this because it is already a present value because it occurred at T0. Great, so now that we have that, plug it into the formula. So one piece at a time. So let's get the PV of the inflows, which we have as the 14135 over the 11,840, and you put in those two, 11,840. So what you can do, I'll guide you through. Okay, we have 10 more minutes for this first session. So my little warning sign has just popped up. So you put that over that in the calculator, and this is going to the power of 1 over 5 as per our formula. And let's go now to the financial calculator and do that part. Very straightforward. So press your regular clear down at the bottom. Don't really need the cash flows anymore. So 14135 is your regular, divide by 11,840. Notice we're not using the minus sign. And then after you do that division, you press equal. You get your 1.938, 1.1938. While that is on your calculator, press your YX button, the button just above the 9. Nothing happens. Press the number 5. The 5 shows up. Then press the 1 over X, which is above the YX. So that's 2 buttons above button number 9. It becomes 0.2. And then you press equal. So once everybody has followed that, somebody type in what number you got for me. Okay, let us start over. All right, so clear off your calculator. Press clear twice, CE button. Okay, not a problem. We'll deal with it. Come on, are we all at 0? Yes, all at 0 now? Great. So first, punch in the 14,135, 14,135. Press the regular divide. Press 11,840. Press equal. Tell me what you get. Good. So with that on the screen, are we seeing the YX button just above number 9? Press the YX once. Nothing should happen when you press the YX. That's perfectly fine. Don't press it a second time. So we have it pressed once. Then press 5, and the 5 should be on the screen. Is everybody at the stage where the 5 is on the screen? Natalie, do you have the 5 on your screen? Great. With the 5 on your screen, are we seeing your 1 over X button? That's just above the YX button. Press that now, and the 5 becomes 0.2. Great. So Natalie is there. Anita, are you there with your 0.2? Yes. Now that you have that, now press your equal button. Somebody tell me what you got. 1.036. Excellent. Great. So now that we are there, let's write that down because that's the first portion of the formula. So that down here, I will now go and write that down. That would be my 1.036. Let's go with the 361 that Natalie has. Now, if we recall, our formula here has other things that we need to do. So that was only the first part of PV of inflows over outflows to the power of 1 over 5. And where did I get that 5 from? That 5 was the number of years of cash flows. So we have to continue with this portion, which says times the 1 plus RE and then minus 1. So let's punch that in. So coming down, back to here, I should put the open brackets, my square bracket. So it's equal to that multiplied by 1 plus my RE, which was 0.10, my 10%. Close my square brackets, and outside of that I'll be subtracting 1. So let us work out the square bracket now with that value in your calculator. You're simply multiplying by 1.1 because that's 1 plus the 0.1. You need to do the addition first before the multiplication. So multiply by 1.1 and somebody type in a chat, what do we get now? Great. 1.13 something. 9697, both of it will work. And then, hold on, why is Natalie saying 1.1? Natalie, you need some more decimals. Okay, great. So yeah, we don't want to go down to one decimal just yet. So from here, we still have the outside one to subtract. So when we subtract that one, we will get our value of 0.1397, something close to that. And if you multiply that by your 100, you'll get your 13.97%, or you can say this is your MIRR, which is equal to basically 14%. Are we okay there? So after you multiply by 100, you get to 13.97, and that we could round to your 14. Good. So that's exactly what our answer sheet has. So again, the financial calculator wasn't too heroic in this section because we had that shortcut you could have done, but still, having entered the cash flows already, it could have been very useful. Right, so now that we have the MIRR out of the way, we now need to do our next computation or pair of computations, which again will not have our financial calculator too much, but is our VAR. So moving on, VAR computations, and of course, to complete this 14 marks or so, was it 14 or 13? To complete this 13 marks, we need an explanation of VAR. So let us turn to our page 169, where we can find our VAR formula. So VAR is equal to K at X, K times sigma. Do I have a sigma here? Insert symbol. The symbols are loading. Where is the sigma? Here we go. K times sigma times, oh, that times is too big, times the square root of R. Square root. Why is that so large? Square root of, sorry, not R, square root of N. Right, so that's really too large for me. See if I can fix that. Yeah. Right, so that is our VAR computation. Of course, we now need to understand what those symbols are. So we are given sigma, which is our standard deviation. Copy it from here. Sigma equals, so somebody get it from the question for me. Sigma, which is our standard deviation of the cash flows. Somebody go to the question, and I know you all can find that. What was our standard deviation? All right, so our time is winding down. We have less than a minute, so we'll cut off shortly. and we will get to the new meeting. And in case we do cut off, ladies can use this time to find the standard deviation for me. Come on. Oh yes, I need to type it in already. Very good. And why is Natalie punching 0? Oh yes, 400. Very good. So my time is still saying less than a minute. All right, let me type until it shuts off, and then we'll get the new meeting.